Okay, I'm going to try to squeeze out a video with these. I actually don't have a whole lot of time. I need to get going right about here. See if I can do this in 10 or 15 minutes. My videos tend to be kind of long. But anyways, here are the 3 current GMT, world time, dual time, multi-time watch, whatever you want to call it, that I currently own. This one is the Glycine 0251, the Chief. This is the Purist model, which means it does not have a forced GMT hand, and it runs on a 24-hour cycle, 1 revolution per hour per day. And this is probably my favorite watch. Love it. This is the Steinhart Ocean 39. This is a newer, smaller size at 39 millimeters, GMT 500, and it's in stainless steel, not titanium or 42 millimeters like the previous one, which I actually owned before, but this is much better in my opinion. And this is the Christopher Ward C65 Trident Vintage GMT, 150 millimeters water resistance versus 500 versus only 10. I don't know. This is the largest one out of the group. Let me see if I can do a better overhead shot of this, so you can get a little bit more, maybe better down look on it for a precise comparison. And yeah, it's 41 millimeters. This is running on I believe a Sellita SW330. This is a Sellita, Swiss ETA 2893-2 Elaborate grade. These movements are almost identical, but I think this one's a little bit better, as far as I know. And this is a Swiss ETA 28, crap, it might be just a 2892, but it's been modified to run on 24 hours. I think it says on the back. No, I have to look it up. I'm going to do a review on this, so I'll get that straight. But I'm pretty sure it's not a 2893 because it doesn't have a GMT hand, and unless yeah, I think it's just the 2892, which has this, would normally have a 12-hour, normal hand, but I think there's an extra gear in there that makes it run longer, double, so that it can do a revolution displayed in 24 hours. So from smallest to biggest, 39, 40, 41 millimeters. Case thickness, this is probably the thinnest at, I think it's less than 12. Let's see here if I can figure this out real quickly. Calipers, 12.4, including the crystal. Oh, it's thinner than that. It certainly looks somewhere thinner. Yeah, it's actually pretty darn close to being just about 12 millimeters. And I believe the Christopher Ward is about the same in thickness, actually. And this one's a little bit thicker at 13. But you're looking at a 500 meter watch of water resistance versus 10. I know it's kind of pathetic, but that's just trying to go with the vintage vibe. I don't know why they couldn't have just boosted it, since other Airman models have like up to 200 meters, and this has 150. Both of these do not have screw down crowns. This does. This one has Lume dial with all 24 markings, the dots and the triangles and the squares and the hands and the little pip on the second hand. This one has it just on the pip on there, on the bezel. This one does not have one. It's a steel. This one has it on the hands, Lume. These are like green Lume. I'm not sure, superluminoma. Not sure what the formula is either. But this has it in the hands, the GMT hand, and actually in the seconds hand, there's like a little sliver of it right across the tip, right around there. And this one has the most Lume, has BGW9, so this one glows blue, which is nice. And the ceramic bezel has it all up in here, in the numbers, the little dots, the hands, the dial, the seconds hand is the whole completely, from whatever you see in white, pretty much it's what's loomed up. And so you can, this one probably has the best Lume out of all, it's strongest, probably lasts the longest out of all of these. very active, and it's on all the really important areas, such as a full lume on the 24-hour bezel, and the GMT hand to go with it, and the 12 hours, and all the markings. There you go. We're going to go into a review about this later, but I do not. This is probably, no, actually, this is not really. This is semi-homage, but that's such a subjective and relative term. But there is a lot going on in here that is actually pretty unique and original to itself. It's not what you think it's supposed to be, trying to be. But we'll go into that to some other video. I like this for the symmetry of the dial. This one's a tough watch. It's the smallest. It's nice for a 500-meter watch. And it goes, this is a really good optional bracelet you can get. It's a Jubilee style. Normally it has a oyster, which I do have, but I prefer it on this. I'll explain why in a video of this watch later. And yeah, this got perfect symmetry on the dial, both in the daytime and when it goes to light up. If I can even show it up here, possibly. Yeah, it's just even all the way around. It's a good watch, and this is actually by far out of almost all these. I did regulate this a little bit to be pretty close to this. These two are probably the most accurate ones I currently have. I didn't mess with this one, but this one's about -1, maybe -2, which isn't too bad at all. But this has been ±1 a second a day, if even that, and I think this is pretty much running the same, and I didn't even mess with this. This was really good out of the box. Let's see, what else can I say? These two basically can display time the same way, has the same basic movement, and the way the GMT hand works. This one doesn't have a fourth GMT hand, and you rely on you can do 2 time zones, the main dial, and then you switch the outside for a second new local time zone. And these all work great on the wrist. Actually, I don't know if I can show it to you real quickly. But despite this relatively somewhat straighter lug ends, that doesn't really bother me because it's actually pretty short and compact. Boost up the brightness here. It's so short and compact, doesn't go past my wrist, and it's just comfortable. It's a good size. It's small for this. Its robustness for 500 meters and being stainless steel, unidirectional rotating bezel. It just can be a dive watch, GMT watch. It's a good all-purpose watch, and it's probably the most legible out of all of them. You can just see it's just easy to read compared to the other ones, which have smaller hands and finer details, whereas this one is just bold enough, although it's smaller out of all the 3. Okay, and then normally I would have this one on a strap because I think it looks better, like a leather or a NATO or something, but I didn't have time to change it, so I just tried this recently. Kind of works. I prefer fitted end links, but they don't really have that option for most Glycine airmen, so that's what I got. And I don't think it looks too shabby because it's a vintage style. It can kind of get away with just using straight end links, I think. So there's that. This one is bi-directional, so you unlock this. It's different, and it's a smooth action, so you can set it anywhere. So this is a really nice watch, and the way that you can set the time on the bezel. When you do it, you just basically lock it down and you're good to go. And so this is really nice. This one is, again, unidirectional, because both of these are basically dive watches first. So, that's one of the main purposes to be able to still use this as a dive watch. So unidirectional, you don't mess up your dive time if you so choose to use it like that. Doesn't bother me. It used to, but I have a watch that goes both ways. The fact that this goes once, it's not that big a deal. Just turn it around to where you need it to be, and you're good to go. Come on, we're not that lazy, are we? But if they could do it in bidirectional on either one of these, yeah, I'd probably like it more. Lastly, what I want to say. I got these to compare because I think these are popular models and people would be interested to see them side by side. They're all great. They can run roughly, depending on when you buy it, this may be the most expensive at just over $1,000 with this configuration. This will probably be closer to starting off at 7, just or mid 7s, somewhere around there, or low 700s. At least from Nomon, maybe even less if you get directly from Steinhart. But if you add the Jubilee, which is about another $100, you're going to bring it up a little bit. This one, they can retail for about 1,000, but most places you'll find it discounted new, and you can probably get this right around 600-ish. And these are interesting mix because I like this one for its more true to its roots vintage looks. It is a more modern 40mm size versus the original Airman's, which came in at 36, I believe. But it just has all the charm of a vintage watch, but and its original design characteristics. An homage to itself, which is pretty much not an homage, it's just an update to modern times. But still utilizing the great looks. And I just love this design, the thin bezel, the box sapphire. Oh, no, this is acrylic. This is the only one that has an acrylic crystal. These are both are sapphire. And it looks great, vintage. I have this one here as a more contemporary modern dive watch. It has a little bit more of a classic size at 39, I suppose, versus a little bit larger at 40 and 41. But I say this is modern just because the style of the hands, the dial, the print is very clean. I think pretty modern looking, the Batman colors, but I call this the Django Fett. I'll explain that later. But with ceramic bezel, blue Lume, 500 meters water resistance. This is top quality for a modern watch. And I would consider this probably the most modern version of a 3, which is nice to have. Just the styling of it it's somewhat classic, but it is more contemporary, more modern than any of the other ones. This one is kind of interesting because it's kind of like an in-between of all of them, right? It has the vintage looks, yet it's got a modern build and size, and of course it is modern. It's 2019 model, but I think it combines, a little bit of this. Sorry for the focus. A little bit of the Airman because of the thin bezel and the box sapphire, and without a crown guards, but it has some of the modern features, I guess, of your somewhat standard GMT type of Swiss movement, and it's not, it's just got the modern case and everything to it, and size. So I think these are a nice mix if you to have 3 GMTs that are pretty different enough in the collection to enjoy if you like GMTs. This is still my favorite. I love the more vintage charm. It's the thinnest, at least visually, the way it wears, and I like the unique 24-hour Purist movement and dial. It's a great watch, and it runs great. This one too, actually. This one runs really good out of the box. Again, barely a second off a day. And full Lume, very legible, most compact. Probably makes a very good tool watch and all-rounder as well. And I like the black and blue and white, really contrasty colors. And this is a nice clean design from Christopher Ward. Love the case design and the bracelet. And overall the look is great too. But that's it. I hope this was helpful. Sorry about the focus. And I hope you can hear me. Try not to mumble, but I am out of breath and I am trying to finish up because I need I need to be someplace soon. So anyways, this is a look at the Steinhart Ocean 39 GMT 500 Premium is what they call that. This is the Christopher Ward C65 Trident Vintage GMT. This is the blue and red bezel, or Pepsi, but they don't call it Pepsi. They just call it red and blue. And this is the Glycine. Technically not an airman. It is the Chief because it doesn't say airman, but we'll get into that later. GL0251 Purist version with the anthracite kind of radiant dial with the blued hands. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next. Bye.